Okay, so I'm sticking a bit to the format that was that Michelle sent around. So my current position is I'm a professor in bioinformatics at the University of Cape Town, South Africa. I had the computational biology division there. But for my sins, the greatest amount of work I do is a PI of a Pan-African bioinformatics network of 34 institutions in 16 countries. So that keeps me pretty busy. So I'm going to go through the career path that I took and then go through which parts of those were choice and which parts of those were complete serendipity. So all I can say is only the middle bits were planned. So I actually, throughout my entire life, was going to be an artist. I love art. It has bugger all to do with science. And I was going to do graphic art. It was only in my, literally the last 2 months of my high school, you have to go see your career guidance person. And the woman said, well, look with your marks, you can get into any degree you want at university. So I said, oh, well, tell me what's out there. So she went through the BSc degree. And I thought, oh, that looks really cool. Let me do that. So I applied and I got in. And I loved it. And then also, like when I was interested in evolution, so I actually signed up for anatomical science, which is more about archaeology. And then really got into microbial science. So I was one of about 6 people in the whole of our school year that didn't do biology, and ended up majoring and doing a PhD in microbiology. So that was a bit of a surprise. So I did microbiology and chemistry, and then I did a microbiology honors. And then I went on to do a PhD in medical micro. And again, this was a bit of pot luck. I went for an interview at one of the universities and got into it was a big TB program that Glaxo was sponsoring at the time. So actually, I don't like Stellenbosch University. I'd like to go back to UCT. So I just walked in to the PI and I said, oh, you're on this grant too. Do you have any PhD studentships available? So we had an ad hoc interview and started a month later. So out of all of that, all the red bits was complete serendipity. Some of it was planned, and then the orange part was sort of half planned, half potluck. And then during my PhD, I ended up, this is showing my age now, but in those days, the TB genome hadn't been sequenced. I mean, there were hardly any genome sequences out there. So that was only sequenced halfway through my PhD. So I had to do a lot of bioinformatics, and again, showing my age, we did blast searches on, you had to stick in all the little hard drives, the little floppies to get your data on it. The swish plot was on a multiple different disks. Some people are nodding, so they've been there before. And the rest was self-taught because we had no bioinformatics then at that time. And then Wynne came and gave a talk actually, and he said, oh, I'm starting bioinformatics. So I got into bioinformatics, and then I really wanted to do that. I traveled for a year and then came back and went to Wynne and said, so, how about it? I want to maybe think about a postdoc. But I actually had a work permit for the UK, so I thought, let me go there. So I applied to the EBI, thinking, oh, well, it's not going to happen because it's a European thing. And being South African didn't matter, so I got in. And again, the first part was a bit of serendipity, getting into the bioinformatics field simply because of need. So a lot of these things were driven by need. I needed something, I needed a technique, so I learned it and I taught myself. And then the rest was planned. So I went to EBI. I actually worked as a switchboard curator for probably about 2 months, and there were 2 of us that started at the same time, and we were probably so bad that then they needed a new project. Interpro was just starting up. It was in the development stages. And maybe we were so bad at annotation of Swishbot that they decided to hand us over to the Interpro team. And we got really involved in Interpro, and then eventually evolved to lead the project. I was team leader of Interpro for, in the end, I was at EBI for 8.5 years. So again, there was just pure luck. The project happened to come along. Rolf needed some people to work on it, got involved in that, and ended up actually running the project in the end. So some of that is a bit of, I guess, some of the skills, that your natural skills have come out. So there were 2 of us. Maybe I had better leadership skills, and so sort of naturally just progressed to that position. Maybe it was, again, potluck. So then also another thing that I started was in Interpro, I wanted to do classified genomes. I was interested in research on microbial genomes. So I'd started my own functional classification scheme. This was before Go came about. And then Rolf had mentioned that to various people who were doing the human genome paper, the Nature paper. And they didn't have a way at the time to functionally classify the protein sequences because Go wasn't out there. And so I did the classification for that using the scheme, which then eventually evolved to Go, and then I did the interpreted Go mappings, which are still ongoing. So that was really interesting, because then I got, obviously, on the Nature paper, which has received, I don't know, 26,000 citations, that Nature paper by now. I mean, you're one of the list of about 20,000 authors too, but still, it counts. And then, so in general, being at EBI, I try to make the most of the time there. So if there was a seminar by anyone or everyone, I went to that seminar and really got exposed to a wide variety of fields. I was in the big sequence database group, and so you get exposed to how services are developed and run, as well as sort of research at the time. So again, some planned, some serendipity, some a bit of both. And then I'd also, actually, while I was there, at HGMP at the time, which is still open, and they were running courses, so I just taught myself a wide variety of different bioinformatics techniques. So meanwhile, back at home, I really wanted to come home. Cambridge is not quite as exciting as Cape Town in terms of lifestyle. And things were hotting up there with funding for bioinformatics. And so I actually went and worked with Win for a year. And then I decided when I was far too close to Win, I had to move 15 kilometers away to the other university. And then when he moved to Harvard, we got on even better, because he was then thousands of... But I have to say that this connection with Win was, again, it's a friendship that we've had for a long time. But he actually got me involved in ABINET, which is basically a project. It was a big meeting, WHM meeting we had in Nigeria, which eventually led to now a $13 million NIH project for this Pan-African Bioinformatics Network. So again, it was a chance meeting. I actually had another meeting I was supposed to go to in the UK, and I thought, actually, no, this meeting in Nigeria is more important. I had to cancel at the last minute the UK one and went to the Nigerian one, and it's led to this. And now, that's most of my time spent is on this project. And so again, in this case, a little bit more was planned. And then basically I've moved on to head the group at UCT now. But I think it's also been to take your opportunities where you see them, and don't be shy to do that, and don't be shy to build networks. I think that's the most important. So then we're also asked to talk about how do you learn other non-science stuff. So how to teach, how to manage a group. Teaching, basically just take on board the evaluations you get from the students. The first time you're going to do it, you're going to get crap evaluations probably. But then you take this on board, you improve. And like Win says, get a good mentor. I did whatever courses I could. I tried to expand my skills in whatever area I could. But I think the bottom line is some academics are good managers, some are good thinkers. And they don't necessarily go together. And you need to think, what is your strength? Are you a manager? Are you a leader? Or are you just one of these blue skies? You can think of fantastic ideas and then hire a project manager, hire a good person to be with you. So surround yourself with good people, build on the strengths that you have and exploit them. And then you can work on the weaker areas through training. So some training courses, some basic courses will do some things for you. But really, it's a lot of my stuff was learning on the job, trial and error. Some things work, some things don't. But take every opportunity you can. So think about, like in this case with Nigeria, what is an opportunity that's likely to get you somewhere that's different or where you want to be? So if somebody had asked me in high school where I would be now, I'd be designing graphics somewhere. So I would never have thought I'd be on this. But the greatest thing about this is it's the best job. Being an academic scientist is actually probably one of the best jobs in the world. You get to do what you love every day. You get to travel, you get to meet people, you get the flexibility to do what you want. So yeah, I would highly recommend it. And I guess the take home here would be get a good mentor, look at just what strengths you have and exploit them. And actually what I mentioned only briefly is networks. So my time at EBI was the best thing I could have done. If I'd stayed in South Africa, gone to ISMB, maybe it would have been good for ISMB and my career there, but I would never have had the networks that I've built internationally. And I've made an effort. So for 4 years of my EBI time, I commuted between Cape Town and EBI. I had the longest commute at EBI, but it was worth it because I maintained those ties. I continued to work in international projects, and that I think was key to a reasonable career.